Good afternoon and welcome everyone to day 2 of M365 May. It's great to have everyone here today. When was your last system update review? This is a question that is frequently overlooked in the fast-paced world of technology. And today I hope to highlight the importance of scheduling checkups and ensuring our environments are always up to date and functioning at their best capacity. Much like the dreaded half-yearly dental exam, I will also show you some simple and easy ways that you can manage your Microsoft 365 environment today. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to add them to the Q&A chat and I will have a look at them at the end of the session. Now, I want to take this opportunity before we begin to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which this online conference is hosted, and the traditional custodians of the land where our Australian-based speakers and participants are located. We would also like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. And also, on behalf of M365 May, I'd like to welcome and acknowledge all our speakers and participants from New Zealand. This conference provides a harassment-free conference experience for everyone, regardless of gender identity, expression, age, orientation, disability, physical appearance, or any of the technology choices or lack thereof that might be here. We have a zero tolerance to breaches in the code of conduct, and that applies across the board from presenters, organisers, conference participants in any form. So if you would like to learn more, please have a look at the code of conduct link at the bottom of the slide. And if you feel that this conduct has been breached in any way, please do not hesitate to contact myself after this session or one of the event staff. So, change in a world of clouds. When people talk about the cloud, what do you think it means? Many think it's just what businesses use for their IT, or those less educated in computer terminology may even think of the fluffy white things in the sky. In reality, the cloud is just a different way of accessing things stored somewhere else, most commonly the internet. It may involve interacting with others or just accessing data. The cloud revolution is truly a revolution. The way we work, learn, and even play is very different now than it was just 10 or 15 years ago. And as the internet becomes more pervasive and connections get faster and faster, we will probably be doing a lot more with technology in different ways in another 10 to 15 years' time. So far, cloud computing has for the most part been used to speed up and reduce the costs of existing processes. As Henry Ford supposedly said, if I had asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. It is only now, as the cloud journey grows more in its maturity, that we can begin to see its full potential to transform businesses and work practices. Technology is also inescapable. It pervades every facet of our life. From how we work, how we play, and how we live our lives, technology has created a revolution that will grow for as long as we continue to advance its capabilities. So how can we keep pace with this ever-growing, ever-demanding landscape? And more importantly, what happens if we don't? Everything in our lives require regular maintenance. From cars to fridges to TVs, even down to us ourselves and even down to our teeth. So why is it that IT always gets left behind? Is it because IT is scary? Or is it because if we touch it, we might break it and that could cause an outage and inadvertently cost business money? Well, these are all true in some sense, but let's look at it from a different angle. Let's look at it from the position that what are the positives that doing regular health checks on our IT can have for us and our business? One of the greatest ones is software updates, and software updates do a lot of things. software updates provide plenty of benefits, and it's all about these benefits. It can include repairing security holes that have been discovered. It could be fixing or removing bugs, and it can be adding new features as well. It also helps to protect against security flaws because hackers love security flaws, and they're also known as software vulnerabilities. So, and it's also not just to think that software updates help to protect your data. It's to keep a lot of things safe as well. It's not data that we're trying to keep safe these days. It's also personal information on devices, identifiable information, emails, bank accounts. Everything is valuable, and cyber criminals are looking for anything they can get their hands on. And the great thing is it's not all about us either. It's okay, cybersecurity is mostly about you. But you've got other people to think about too. If your device gets a virus per se, you could pass that on to your friends, family, business associates. That's why you need to keep your software, your systems, your devices up to date. And on the flip side of that is you deserve the latest and greatest. Updates aren't only there to help protect against breaches and security holes, but they can also add new features and functionality and also improve existing ones. So we don't want to fall behind the times, right? So how do we decide what we need to update and when we need to update it? You can see the shared responsibility shifting more and more to cloud service provider, from infrastructure as a service, as you can see, to the more software as a service that we're in now. You can imagine that using on-premises services is like owning your own house. You need to take care of everything inside and out, including plumbing, fixing broken stuff, receiving mail, and the list goes on. When using IaaS, is more like moving into an apartment building. You get basic services like building security, a doorman, potentially, and other things. And then we start moving up the scale. Then we start moving into platform as a service, or PaaS. And this is like moving into a furnished apartment. On top of what you got from your apartment unit, you're also going to get some interior design done for you. And you only really need to worry about maintaining the place and keeping it clean and livable. And lastly, we've got the software as a service model, or SaaS, which is where Microsoft 365 sits. And this is like living in a hotel. You have daily housekeeping service. You can order additional services like in-room dining, and you don't have to worry about anything. When customers leverage only their on-premises IT estate, they have complete responsibility to protect the data and to implement the controls necessary to be compliant with applicable regulatory standards. Customers using cloud services lessen their burden, sometimes considerably, because the cloud represents a shared responsibility between the customer and the cloud service provider. For example, if you use SaaS like Microsoft 365, Microsoft is going to help you take care of the majority of the controls, including the physical infrastructure and networking. So you as a customer don't need to spend resources building your own data center or setting your own network controls. So how has this attitude gone, and how is it going to change? Well, the attitude will change, but not because companies think that they are better off with the most current hardware and software, but because software publishers have initiated a paradigm shift in the way they sell their software and services. For years, companies purchased version software along the best fit hardware, or the other way around. Sometimes the purchase of hardware and software included a support and maintenance agreement. With such an agreement in place, and if required, hardware parts would be replaced or updated, and new software versions would be provided. If the hardware was fully functional for the duration of the support agreement, a company would have never made use of it. If the software version was good enough and the cost to migrate to a newer version too high, the company would stick to the older version, even with the right to upgrade. Now, what if you start thinking of using cloud computing services? Cloud computing services are all about evergreen IT. And to my understanding, the only true evergreen IT offerings. In order to provide scalable, standardized services, companies such as Microsoft, Google, SAP, Oracle, Amazon run a stack of standardized software and hardware which is consistently updated across all data centers almost simultaneously. They do so since standardization reduces the risk of system failures, eases system monitoring, and reduces downtime, and allows for better discounts with hardware or software resellers and the likes. In addition, most software services are now only available as a cloud-based subscription offering, e.g. Microsoft 365, Office 365, Adobe Cloud Creative. And the on-premises versions are delayed a few months. So if you want to make use of those offerings, you really need to adopt the cloud, and doing so implies that you are going for an evergreen IT. Now, of course, that has some challenges. And as you can see, there's a few overview challenges of, well, how do we deal with this fast pace of the cloud? How can we control behaviors of these features? And how do we maintain security and governance? And they're all great questions. And it's all something that has become a lot more forefront in people's minds, because it's now more of a balancing act than it was before. Because security no longer resides just in the four walls of your business. Now that you've moved to this software as a service, data can reside anywhere now. So controlling it is not like it was before. You can't just put a firewall in place and you can comfortably rest there and go, well, all our data is safe because it's behind the firewall. Now data can sit in many places. It can sit in many platforms. It can sit in online CRM platforms. It can sit in places like OneDrive, Dropbox, and all the vast versions of that around there. So how can we now start having some of these challenges? And now how can we start doing this? But on top of that complexity, we also have now the challenges of managing a modern workplace as well. Because as you can see, employees' engagement is 15%, but at the best performing companies, 70% of employees are engaged and profits are 21% higher. And we've got this really great mix at the moment where we have 5 generations in the workforce. And that is something that is quite astounding and something we're probably not going to see again. But it gives us this opportunity to really tap into all these different types of talent. So we've got now all these people coming into the workplace who are so used to being able to work off mobile devices, who are so used to doing things on their phone, on tablets, on the web, online, and now they're coming into these organizations and they have this expectation that they're going to have the same types of tools that they use at home at work. So how can organizations now start managing this to ensure that they're having the right level of collaboration, but also the right level of security? And it's all a change in the world of cloud as well, because we're now applying this evergreen model to change, which means that these services are constantly being updated for optimal functionality. So as I said, it's not like how we used to buy software. We didn't just go out and say, we need email. So we went out, we bought Exchange, we bought Lotus Notes, we bought GroupWise. And then we implemented that and we ran it for the life cycle. We bought a product, we bought software maintenance, and we knew for the next 3 to 5 years that we were going to have that product and it was going to be in place and it was going to be supported and it was going to do exactly what it said on the box. And organizations never really took a second look at that. They put it in, they applied security patches when they needed, and they ran it. But now we've moved into this software as a service-based model where we're really starting to create partnerships with our IT vendors, people like Microsoft and Amazon. We're going to them and we're asking Microsoft, we want you to take care of all this for us and we're going to pay you a monthly fee for that. Now, as you saw in the shared responsibility model, we have some expectations around that. And Microsoft, all these vendors also come back and go, well, there's also some expectation on you as well to the data is your responsibility. So now we've moved into this more of a partnership. And these vendors are going to give new products and they're going to give new services, but you now no longer need to go out and buy a new product. You don't have to stand up a project for 6 to 12 months to roll out this new feature or roll out this new hardware. It's just there, snap of the fingers, ready to go. And this can be exhilarating, and it can also be scary as well, because these vendors can also add new features, but what they can do is they can remove features as well just as quickly. So it's an ever balancing game of ensuring you've got the right level for your organization and ensuring that you're on the right side of that evolution and you're also taking in some of those enhancements that are on offer. And then it boils down to all the small things as well. So what we're going to look at today is just some really simple tools that a lot of people overlook in their day-to-day work that can help them really deal with a lot of the small things. So as you can see up there, 75% of all admin actions are repetitive tasks. And there's 60,000 password resets a day. And one of the most common things that Microsoft saw, and even I myself saw, was when creating users or removing users, there was no automatic option for licensing and subscription tab. And it was very frustrating. And Microsoft has listened to this and brought all this in and has created all these new capabilities, but there's so many capabilities being added and enhanced every day that it's hard to keep up with it. So what I'm going to show today is just some ways that you can help try and keep pace with this ever-moving evergreen IT. I do want to pause before we go into the next section and strongly encourage everyone who's on this call to scan this code. This call will be recorded, so you can see it later, but do scan this code and do enter the prize draw. There's some really amazing prizes on offer from our sponsors. So do sign up for this and you never know your luck. So now what I want to move into is, well, what are some of the resources that we have available that we can use on a day-to-day basis? And what have we got to use that can just give us these deep insights without having to do a lot of work? So the first one I want to show you is the Microsoft Secure Score. It's amazing how many organizations that I work with that don't know that this exists, have never really used it, or have never really seen it in any great detail. So what is the Microsoft Secure Score? Well, it's a measurement of an organization's security posture, with a higher number indicating more improvement actions taken. From a centralized dashboard in Microsoft 365 Security Center, organizations can monitor and work on the security of their Microsoft 365 identities, data, apps, devices, and infrastructure. And the Secure Score is really going to help organizations to do the following. It's going to report on the current state of an organization's posture. It's going to help them improve their posture by providing discoverability, visibility, guidance, and controls. And it's also going to help compare and benchmark and also help establish key performance indicators or KPIs. So organizations now have this ability to gain access to this robust visualizations of metrics and trends and integrations with other Microsoft products. And there's also score comparisons as well with similar organizations and so much more. The score can also reflect when third-party solutions have addressed recommended actions. So let's jump in and have a look quickly at what the Microsoft Secure Score is. So as you can see up on the screen now, we've got the Microsoft Secure Score portal. And this is a fantastic way just to get a very holistic, high-level overview of how your organization looks and a posture of your organization. You can come in here and you can easily see what your total score is against all the different pillars that I spoke about: identity, data, devices, apps, and infrastructure. Now, this is a demo tenant, so of course it will look very different to most normal tenants that have a lot more data to go with. But You can also see in here that Microsoft is also giving improvement actions as well. So Microsoft is also going to suggest ways that you can enhance your security posture in your organization. And you're also going to be able to see, well, how has the history of my security gone? You can start seeing from the start of April 1st, 2020, when this was built, you can start seeing the security posture go up. You can start seeing your score and has it gone up or gone down? Because Microsoft is constantly adding in recommendations and security features into the platform. So it's a great way to come in and see what some of the new features are and how you stack up. It also gives you the global average of other Office 365 tenants that have similar industry as you. So when you set your tenant up for the first time, it asked you to pick a industry, whether that be healthcare or telecommunications or services. And what it does is it helps benchmark you against other organizations in the same fields as you. And it also then helps you against other people with a similar seat count. And you can view this history and you can see that we've actually gone up 12 points in the last 30 days. And then you can start breaking this down into the individual categories if you'd like. So what's really meaningful in here is you can come in here and you can see improvement actions, and you don't have to be a system engineer to understand this. Microsoft has built this so that anybody can come in here, whether it be a small business to a large enterprise, come in here, understand this, and be able to consume this in a way that's meaningful for them. So you can come in here and you can see all the improvement actions that Microsoft recommends, and you can see what categories they're in, what type of score they have, what ranks they've got, and even the products that they're going to start affecting. And you can sort of see, have you completed them, have you started them, and have you put any notes against them? So if we just look at require MFA for administrative roles, why this is really meaningful and why I show it to everyone that I work with is just the vast amount of information that Microsoft has that they surface to you now. So you can open up this MFA one and Microsoft now gives you this detailed description of what this category is. It even gives you step-to-step action on how to resolve this. And even tells you how this could affect your users if you were going to implement this. And then one of the other great features is it will actually help you go to that exact point of where you need to set that up inside your tenant. And as you can see, it's coming in and it'll show you exactly where it's talking about and what it's talking about around these baseline policies. And it gives you the step-to-step guide on how to set it up. Now, you can also write notes in here if you have some notes that you want to leave for other members or if something else, and you can also have the option to resolve it through a third party now. Now, this is not saying that, of course, every organization may be using Azure MFA. They might be using Okta or Semantic VIP or something. So you still have the ability to come in here and record that so you can have your score not be affected by that, because you still do have that control. It's just, of course, not using Azure MFA. And it's really powerful tool to be able to come in and see all the things that you can do. You can also see a history as well of what things have changed across the organization and what you've done in the last 30 days. And you can set this to a custom time frame as well. And what's really meaningful is you can actually export this data as well. So if you were looking to bring this into a different system, or you were looking to do a project, or you wanted to present this to an executive or someone for review, then it's very easy now that you can take this and you can open it. And you can take this very easily and very quickly and start molding this into something that's going to be meaningful to you and your organization. You can also then implement this into something like Power BI or something to visually, very simply be able to take a lot of deep technical data that would have taken analysts and engineers quite a large amount of time to go and compile. Now it's just really here at your fingertips, which is why it's so powerful and why I try and show it to as many people as I can. And I will also show you as well that there is a new version coming as well. So what they've done is, as you can see here, this is an overview of a points-based system, but Microsoft are actually moving to a percentage-based system. And as you can see here, it just helps fill out the screen a lot better, and it helps fit everything on the page for you. So if you haven't had a look at the Microsoft Secure Score, it's included in all the Microsoft SKUs. So I highly recommend you take a look in this, and you can come in here and you can sort of start seeing what's happened, what needs to be addressed. And it's a really quick way to be able to harness this vast amount of information that's now available to you at your fingertips. Now, what we're going to look at next is we're going to look at the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, if you've been using Office 365 for a long time, then you'll have known that there's been a lot of constraints and a lot of complexity around it. So we started off with about 20 different admin portals along the way, and it became very confusing to a lot of people because there was too many different domains, there was inconsistent experiences, there was the fact that there was very few roles available, and there was a lot of organizations who didn't want to give desktop admins global access, and there wasn't, and as every single UI did something slightly differently. So Microsoft has worked very hard and has taken a lot of this feedback on board. And what they've done is they've tried to simplify the IT ecosystem, and they've tried to add in a lot more artificial intelligence to help people with everyday efficiencies, provide actionable insights, and try and build it for IT teams. So what this saw was it saw Microsoft take all these different portals and boil them down to 7. And so now we've got these domains for specific tasks that we can go in and do things, and it's a lot more consolidated than it was. Is it perfect? Not yet. You will still have to go out to some of these older UIs to do certain things, but at least Microsoft has taken in the feedback, is actioning it, and they are moving to try and create that unified interface where we can start collating and doing things in a more streamlined fashion. And so here's a lot of the common tasks that you can do in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and it's amazing how much power this admin console has, and it's amazing how many people that I talk to that don't know some of these things even exist or even know the portal could do that. It's a very vast portal, different than what it was back in the day. I've been using Office 365 since it was BPOS. And that's a very different experience than what we have today in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So if you haven't seen the Admin Center, I would highly recommend you check it out because it's just got so much in there. And what we'll do now is we'll quickly have a look through that so you can get a feel of what that looks like. So now you can see the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And if you haven't been to it before, then if you type admin.microsoft.com into your web browser, you'll be able to get this experience. Now it's rolling out to everyone and it will become the new default experience eventually. But if you'd like to test it out today and you haven't seen it before, I would highly recommend going and checking it out. And as you can see, this is where you get. So this is your home screen and this is tailored to you. So I'm logged in as Megan, and this is a home screen that's been completely tailored for me. And it's something that I can edit and move around, which a lot of people don't actually know. That you can actually come in here and you can actually start dropping cards into your view to make it more meaningful to you. So if you've got a desire to see more about advanced threat protection, or if you want to see more about Azure Active Directory because you're an analyst-based role, you can now come in and start adding in these cards that are more meaningful to you, and you can start removing the cards that are potentially not as important to you, and you can start building this dashboard that's really intuitive and really meaningful to you and the way you work, which is really great because it helps users become more effective and more efficient. And as you can see down here in the admin centers that we said that there's now 7 of them and they're trying to consolidate them. Now, of course, there's still some admin centers that aren't here and Microsoft is still actively using them. And there's a reason why most of these have their own portals. But it's just a great place where you can come and have this central visibility across your entire Microsoft 365 landscape. And if you haven't checked it out, then I would highly recommend it. You can also get actionable insights around the 365 Center. You can also search for things straight from here now as well. So if you just want to find a user and you want to reset their password, you don't have to go to active users. You don't have to find them. You can just type them in here now, and from here quickly and easily you can reset someone's password. So as you've seen on the screens, previously you'd have to go to active users, you'd have to find that user, you'd have to click on that user, and then you'd have to click change password. Now you can simply and intuitively come in here and search for things, settings, or tasks that you want to do. So the next section that I wanted to cover is also a part of the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and it's the Message Center. And it's amazing how many people I talk to that either never look in here or don't even know where to find it. Because this is an amazing tool that anyone in an organization who's managing a Microsoft 365 tenant should be checking on a regular basis. No matter what your role, there will be something in here that's going to be meaningful and tangible to you. And it's a great place where Microsoft puts all their updates, all their comings and goings, anything that's coming into the platform, staying informed. Microsoft is going to put in the message center and they're going to give you notice around that and they're going to let you see it and know about it. The best way to see it is to let's jump in and have a look. Now, because of this is a live demo and the demo gods never seem to like me, every time I load this, it doesn't actually load anything, which is not very helpful. But as you can see here anyway, is you're going to be able to get active messages and you're going to be able to see all the things that Microsoft are doing in the platform. And you're also going to start seeing things about outages as well. So if there's a degradation to a service or there's maintenance upcoming, Microsoft is going to put this in the message center. If there's a new feature that's going to be deprecated, Microsoft's going to put a message in here. They're going to give you plenty of warning. They're going to give you time to come in here. So this is an invaluable resource for anyone who manages a Office 365, Microsoft 365 tenancy. Now we'll, if it loads on this one. I have not had much luck today with the message center. No. Well, if it does load, I will come back to it for everyone so they can see it. And one of the other great things that I recommend everyone is the public roadmap as well. So I've got a link to the top of it and there's also a QR code there as well. So I would highly recommend everyone, if you haven't bookmarked this in your web browser, I would highly recommend you go and bookmark it because this is an amazing resource where you're going to be able to find out all the products and features that are coming to the platform that are currently being worked on. And you're going to be able to see what their statuses are, when they're coming, and what the roadmap looks like. And this is a great place to go to see if that feature or that capability that you're looking for or that bug fix you've been waiting on is coming and if it's being worked on and what it looks like. So let's jump in and have a quick look. So you can see here, this is a Microsoft 365 roadmap. And you can come in here and you can start seeing all the things that Microsoft are working on. You can see the ones that they're rolling out, and you can also see ones that have been launched recently. So you can come in here and you can see what's coming, what's being worked on, and it's a really great way. And you can come in here and you can see what channels they are. You can pick the platforms that are meaningful to you. If there's something specific you're working on, you can also download this information as well. If you're looking to create your own roadmap internally inside your organization and you've got features that you're waiting on, you can download all this data and help to put that in your roadmap to help try and create your IT or cloud strategy. You can also share it, and there's also an RSS feed as well. So if you want to stay up to date, you can also export this out into something that's meaningful for you. You can track it in Outlook, you can track it in many RSS feeds, and it's a really great place to go to find out information. And I would highly recommend everyone have a look at this regularly to see what's coming in the platform so you can be informed, and then that can help you inform others. So what I wanted to talk to everyone else about now is subscription management as well. So Microsoft has done a lot in the way of subscription management, and it's really great to see some of the new features they've got coming in. So previously, your subscription management was all Microsoft related. It was Office 365 related. You could track in here your Power BI licenses, your Office 365 E3 licenses, E5 licenses, and now you can start tracking here your Microsoft suite. But what Microsoft is now doing as well is they're adding in the capability now where you can start tracking third-party products as well. So what's coming now is the fact that you're going to be able to add in your Cisco Meraki licenses, for instance, and you're now going to be able to start getting visibility on all those other apps and licenses that you use as part of your landscape in this one intuitive UI now. So as you can see on the screen, you can now start tracking SQL licenses. You can now start tracking Cisco devices. And there's more and more vendors that are coming on board with this. So this is an amazing way, an amazing capability to come in here and now start being able to track a lot of those other traditional or even some of those other cloud-based licenses without having to leave this portal. Because as you all know that it's previously, you've got 5 different SaaS providers, you've got 5 different portals, you've got 5 different licensing agreements, and you're constantly bouncing between all of them to understand, well, when do they expire? Do they have the right billing details? Do they have the right email addresses for alerts and actionable items? So now Microsoft is trying to bring all this into one intuitive portal. So organizations can now start managing that. And Microsoft really wants to make this new Microsoft Admin Center the really key home for all this. So it's the one place where you can go to get all the tools that you need. And now you can also start seeing as well, they're starting to break down things as well. So they're starting to be able to get more granular. So before you predominantly got the top box, which everyone knows and remembers, but now you're able to start drilling into that. So now you can go into that license and now you can start clicking, well, who's actually assigned to that license? Whereas in the past, you had to go run PowerShell scripts or various other pulling information out and lining it all up. Now you can just start to go in here. You can start to easily see. And from here, you can also even assign licenses. You can also remove licenses as well. So you don't have to go in here and go, all right, this person's got a license. Now I go to users, devices, pick that user, take the license off them. You can now do that straight from the billing services in the billing section now in products and services, which is a really great feature and really helps streamline processes. And it's also why I pick it up, because it's just these little things that can help everybody to be able to do things just a little bit quicker, which is going to free up people to do a lot of other things, because everyone's time is becoming more and more valuable. So if we can just free up a couple of minutes of someone a day, then they can spend that using something else, doing something more meaningful, more tangible. And the last thing to show you on this one is really bills and payments. So if you're someone that's from the finance department, if you're a CFO, it was very difficult to find a lot of correlating information around your invoices. You usually would have to go and talk to your licensing person or whoever looked after your EA or your CSP. which was fine if you had those people. But for a lot of small and medium businesses, they don't necessarily have a dedicated EA person or CSP person they can go to get all these figures. So now you can come in here and you can easily and simply be able to pull out all these invoices, and you can now start navigating and diving into them to find out all this information without having to leave this portal. And you can also sort of see your order history as well. You can see, well, who's gone in and purchased that license? Why did they purchase that license? What's the order number? And you can now start seeing things like, well, who purchased it, which is really meaningful to be able to go and manage that if you've got vast teams or a vast departments and they've all got capabilities to go and do this. You can now start being able to strategically give out more responsibility to these teams to go, okay, you run team A, you need Power BI licenses. Here's the capability to go and purchase your own Power BI licenses for your team and to manage that on behalf of that team and manage that cost and spend. Now you can start doing that with confidence, and that they can come in here and they can start seeing it all. And it's all from this portal. So if we could quickly jump in and have a look at what that looks like. We're going to start being able to break down things that I've shown before. So we can start to go in here and we can start to see some of these licenses now that are going to start filling. We're going to be able to start going into these licenses. And as I said, we're going to be able to really start drilling down into these, and we're going to be able to see things. We're going to be able to see who's assigned. There's currently 2 people out of 20 assigned to that. We can come in here. We can manage the apps and services for that user. We can select which parts to turn on and off. We can remove this license from that user simply and easily straight from this portal without even having to go back into that user itself. As this is a demo tenant, I hope I don't have many invoices that aren't unpaid. No, very good. But you can start coming in here and you can start seeing your payment methods. You can even add payment methods as well. So if you wanted to give that team in that example I gave, if you wanted to give team A the ability to buy their own Power BI licenses, but you wanted it assigned to a certain payment method so you could track that from a cost center perspective, you can come in here and you can set up those payment methods, and then you can assign that to those people. And you've also got the billing notifications as well. Well, who gets this information? When do they get this information? And what type of granularity can they see? By default, global administrators are going to get it, but you can come in here and you can start seeing, well, who is getting these communications, and is that right? And for companies that don't have an EA agreement or a CSP agreement, they're now easily able to come in and purchase services. And you're also able to compare services now, which is a great feature. So you're able to come in and you're able to pick, because of course these change from time to time and there's a lot of differences. So now you can start comparing what this looks like straight from the portal. You don't have to go out and Google it anymore and then go, all right, I want this license, and come back into the portal. You can now do this straight and streamlined straight through the admin portal now. You can come in here, you can start seeing the licenses you've got, you can see what's included in these licenses, you can compare them to other licenses, and you can now make informed decisions around, well, what's licensing best for my organization without even having to leave the admin portal. And that's one of the truly great features of this portal, is Microsoft's trying to bring in all this feature and capability. So you really never have to leave this portal. Microsoft really want it to be that you can just save this portal to your favorites, and it's one of the only portals that you ever need to go to get your job done. And you can also see the add-ons that are applicable to this license that you can pick. So it's just really some of these meaningful and tangible ways that you can now start doing things more efficiently. And user management. So as we just saw with billing management, we now have the same types of capability in user management as well. You're able to come in here and you're able to manage your groups, and you've been always able to manage your groups, but now you're able to do more things in bulk. So previously, you're also now able to see devices, which is a new capability as well. So you're able to come in here and you're now able to start to see a lot of this fantastic data in this one portal and get all this visibility. And for any of the technical people out here, can anyone remember how hard it was to connect into this back in the day? There was 5 commands that you needed to get into there. And now Microsoft has consolidated that down to 1 command. So even from a back-end perspective, Microsoft is really streamlining and making things as more efficient as they can and more efficient as possible. So let's have a look. So let's have a look now at some of the things that you're going to be able to start to see. So now you're going to be able to come in and interact with your users much like you've always been able to, but you're going to be able to start seeing more capabilities start to come in around resetting licenses in bulk, managing product licenses in bulk. You're now not necessarily going to need to have to be a guru in PowerShell anymore to go in and make bulk changes to users. You're now going to be able to intuitively and natively be able to make those changes straight from the portal. And it's really meaningful to IT admins who have to manage this on a day-to-day task. It helps try and take out some of those repetitive tasks, and it helps try to cut down some of those task duration time by making them more simplified and more streamlined. And one of the last things that I really wanted to show you is how the Cloud Shell has gone. So if anyone knows that, that's the ability to be able to run PowerShell straight from the web now. So it's a feature that's coming to Office 365, Microsoft 365 as well. As you can see in the top right hand corner, you're soon going to be able to see this Cloud Shell icon. So gone are the days where you had to go and you had to load all this software onto your machine. You then had to load all these modules and then you had to run all these commands to be able to connect into your Office 365 environment. Now you're going to be able to you're going to be able to click this icon and you're going to be able to do PowerShell commands straight from your admin portal. And that's really meaningful and really powerful because it means there's another task that you don't have to go outside of your admin portal to do now. And it's going to mean a lot of tasks become a lot more streamlined and a lot more efficient because admins now can come in here and they can do their PowerShell, they can do their bulk updates straight from the admin portal without having to go out of the portal and load up all their consoles and experiences. So what does that look like? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it to work in my demo, but essentially, if you've used the Azure version, then it is identical to that. It's just adding in the icon into Microsoft 365. So as you can see, it's the same version that you get in your Azure portal. So you can get to it via shell.azure.com and you can use this. And the icon will be coming soon to your tenants, depending on where you sit in that rollout and what type of tenant you have. But look out for that soon coming to tenants. One of the last things I wanted to show you is how can you manage on the go? So Microsoft has an admin app that doesn't get a lot of love, but it's an incredibly powerful application that you can use to do so many things now. You can check the message center, you can reset people's passwords, you can assign licenses, you can reset people's permissions, you can add them to groups, you can remove them from groups, all from this native app now. And this is an amazing app that not a lot of people know about. So the best way to do it is to see it. So let's see if I can get my demo to work. So, as you can see on my screen, this is a mobile application that you can run on iOS, Android, and the likes, and it's a really great tool that can help you be able to manage things on the go. We're going to see if the demo gods want to be good to me today. And it's a great app that I'd recommend everyone try. If they haven't tried it, my demos just don't seem to like me today. But definitely give it a go in the App Store on your device of choice. Definitely try and download it and give it a go, because it is a really great application that can help you get through a lot. And since my screen mirroring doesn't want to work very well, we will move on, and if it decides to come back, then I will take everyone back for it. And updates. So we touched upon the message center, and of course it wanted to work as soon as I stopped talking about it. So what we'll do is we'll quickly jump back, and as you can see in the app, if you go, as you can see, you've got all this capability in here now. So you can check your support request, you can check your users, your groups, you can see your billing, you can see messages that you've got, you can see if you've got any migrations going now, you can track migrations on the go now if you're doing a Office 365 migration, you can see support requests. You can now come in here and you can see users, you can pick users, and there's just this vast amount of capability now you've got inside this tool. Now, of course, these options are going to differ from your organization and its configuration, but on a whole, you're going to be able to come in here and you're going to be able to, on the go, do this vast amount of information. You can reset someone's password now. Gone are the days that you get a phone call because you stepped out of the office. You then had to sit in your car and take your laptop out and VPN back in to open up AD to reset a password. Now you can just reset this password simply and easily on the go. It'll even recommend a password for you. You can then ask them to change or set that password. And then all you have to do is click reset. And then that person is going to get an email that their password has been updated. Depending on how you go, they can also get an email around with the password, or you can send that in another avenue, and then you can have them change that on the one. You can also have a look at blocked users. If someone's signed in too many times and been blocked and ringing help desk because they can't log in, you can see that. You can come in here, you can see their user roles, their memberships. You can see what groups they're a part of. You can edit that. You can add groups, you can remove groups simply and easily from this mobile application. And you can also even set email forwarding for them on their behalf. How many times has it gone that the executive's gone home and forgot to set his email forwarding up? So then they ring IT help desk and go, I need this forward set up. So then people have to go in, they have to grant access, they have to go through all the forms and processes. Now you can simply and easily come in here, request access, set up email forwarding for that person's mailbox, and go on about it straight and simply from an easy mobile app. So if you haven't seen it before, I'd highly recommend you check it out. And to finish off, I just wanted to talk briefly around some of the updates and where you can find them. So there are so many different updates out there. There's the message center that we've touched upon. There's the roadmap that we touched upon. There's the Microsoft Tech Community, the Microsoft event site. There's industry events. There's feedback. There's YouTube. There's Twitter. The list goes on and on and on. And a lot of these have been collated for you. So there's a list. There's an Excel spreadsheet that a couple of MVPs put together and have up. So if you go to that link on the screen, you'll be able to get an Excel spreadsheet that kind of helps you go to all this. So someone's kind of done all the legwork for you. And you can go and download this, and you can click on these links and quickly and easily find that specific blog or that specific section that you're looking for, because there's so much knowledge in there and there's so much differing options in there that it can be very daunting, and it can be hard to find things sometimes with things moving and shifting so frequently in this evergreen IT. Microsoft also really wants your feedback. So you will see in your screens that there are feedback options. So if you do have a piece of feedback, please do leave it. Microsoft does use this feedback and it does get heard. Now, if you're in an organization where it's highly locked down and you can't try a lot of these yourselves, but you'd really like to get in here and try this out, then I would highly recommend checking out the Office Developer Program. So with that, you can get yourself a 90-day tenant where you're able to get some users. You can even get some pre-canned data if you like, and you'll be able to start playing around with a lot of the things you've seen today and more. So if a lot of this stuff interests you, but you don't have access to it today, but you would like to see it, then please do check that out, because it's a really great way to be able to get yourself some hands-on experience with a lot of the tools and features that I've showcased today. If you'd also like to see a lot more information and see what's coming, then I'd highly recommend checking out the Microsoft Insider Program. And I've put a link and a QR code up there for you, because there are a few different Insider programs. But if you'd love to see what's coming and you'd love to be involved in that, then I'd highly recommend you checking that out as well and signing up to be a part of those programs. They're all free to be a part of. And there are various different options inside those programs around how you would like to commit and what you would like to see. There's different rings and such. And last but not least, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors for this, and I'd like to also thank all the event organizers as well. This is an amazing event, and it wouldn't be possible without the amazing efforts from our sponsors and also the amazing effort from the organizers as well. So thank you so much for everything that you've done and that you do, and that I hope you've enjoyed this. And I will take any questions now as we finish up. I've got somebody else whose message center isn't loading either, so maybe it's not just me, thankfully. But yes, thank you so much all for attending. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A now. I will stick around for a few minutes, but if not, thank you so much for attending.